Welcome to Indigo Ray TV, the place where high achievers, aka Mosaic Souls, come to learn to embody and embrace and express their divinity, where I talk all things life, health, business, and spirituality. So let's dive in. Hello, 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 Mosaic Souls. Hey, Mosaic Souls, this is Rachael Alexander, artist and Mosaic Soul mentor, aka spiritual teacher and transformational life, health, and business coach with flair. And today I wanted to talk about why it's important to feel your negative emotions. So I wanted to give 10 reasons why it's so important and crucial, in fact, for you to start to feel and listen to your negative emotions. Now, this is I want to preface this, that this is very different from acting out on your negative emotions. Feeling your negative emotions versus acting out on your negative emotions is a point of emotional intelligence and wisdom to me versus just, willy-nilly acting impulsively, okay? So the first reason that you want to start listening to your emotions and feeling your negative emotions or feeling your unwanted emotions is that you stop second guessing yourself. You stop self-gaslighting yourself. And gaslighting is a term that's used in psychology and psychiatry to basically where you're sort of where someone else invalidates your experience by making you feel like you're crazy, like what you experienced didn't happen. So they invalidate your truth, they invalidate your reality. So self-gaslighting is where you say, well, maybe I shouldn't have done that, or maybe, I was crazy, or maybe I did it, where you start self-gaslighting or second-guessing yourself. That's another way for me to say second-guessing yourself. And the reason why this is super important is when you second-guess yourself, you invalidate your reality, you invalidate your human experience, and which causes you to be in a state of confusion. It causes you not to create the life you want. It causes you to be in this stagnant place, and you end up feeling like you're crazy, and you end up feeling like you're not in tune with your emotions, right? So this is one of the number one reasons why is you stop second guessing yourself when you allow yourself to feel your emotions, to feel the emotions that come up. If you're feeling anger, if you're feeling, resentment, if you're feeling numb, if you're feeling sadness, if you're feeling despair, if you're feeling whatever, allowing yourself to feel these emotions is so crucial in helping you to heal them, because you can't feel what you're not willing to hear. You can't heal what you're not willing to feel, okay? So that's the first reason. The second reason is that it validates your reality. It validates your truth, right? So we all have our own sort of like timelines in our lives, right? And so when we don't allow ourselves to feel whatever emotion is arising, whether it's subconscious, most of our emotions are coming from our subconscious, but when we don't allow ourselves to feel these emotions, what we're doing is that we're making our emotions to be wrong, right? And we're making our reality to be wrong. Like, I shouldn't be feeling this way. I shouldn't feel anger, or I shouldn't be feeling sad, or I shouldn't feel nervous, or I shouldn't feel whatever, right? We make our sort of this polarity or spectrum of emotions wrong. Like, our good emotions are only the emotions that are right to feel, rather than recognizing that your emotions are just a scale. It's like a guidepost to let you know where you are vibrationally, and letting go of beating yourself up for feeling any sort of negative emotion or unwanted emotion, like I call it unwanted emotion, helps you to start validating your reality by saying, it's okay that I feel this way, and it's okay for me to feel this way. It doesn't necessarily mean that you act out on it. Just because you might feel anger doesn't mean you blow up in someone's face, right? I'm going to talk about this in another point. The third reason is that it gets you out of a state of confusion. A lot of people, even some of my clients will struggle with, allowing themselves to feel their emotions because they feel confused. And sometimes this comes up to like the fourth reason, which is it helps you to get out of shutting down or numbing out, and getting out of powerlessness, right? So that's the fourth reason. But when you get out of a state of confusion is basically you're saying that is come back to the second reason, which is it validates your reality. But when you're unaware of your reality, or it feels like you're stuck or stagnant, or you feel like lost, or you feel like, what am I doing with my life, or how am I doing? It's because a lot of times it's because we're feeling or having these intuitive hits, or even emotions where things happen where a boundary was crossed, or, emotional danger, or anything that was there or signaling your soul, your intuition was flashing red lights at you, and you were ignoring it because you've been conditioned by society, by relationships, by whatever, to not listen to your emotions, that, experiencing or feeling negative emotion is a bad thing. And so it puts you in this state of confusion because you keep self-invalidating yourself. You keep not honoring your emotions and honoring them as the gift that they are, which are signposts and signals for where you are vibrationally, right? And so number 3 is that it gets you out of confusion. Number 4 is that it gets you out of shutting down or numbing out and getting you out of the mode of powerlessness. So I wanted to talk about powerlessness and getting you out of sort of numbing out and shutting down. And this is what a lot of happens a lot when my clients come to me. A lot of times there's this spark of desire inside of them. There's this spark of hope, or this spark of like vision for their lives, but they haven't let themselves feel their emotions. They haven't let themselves feel the negative emotions or the good emotions. So this doesn't even only apply to the negative emotions or the unwanted emotions. This applies to the whole spectrum of emotions, right? So what happens is they come to me with this like glimmer of hope, right? And they haven't allowed themselves to even feel, because they either put themselves in a state, well, there's no point in even trying. Like if you feel hope to like start a business or move into a new venture or move to another country or try something new, sometimes they will like degrade themselves by not even allowing themselves to feel hope or to feel joy or to feel excitement or passion, right? So feeling some of these positive or wanted emotions, right? And so what happens is it starts to help when you start to allow yourself to feel the whole spectrum of emotions that are available to you. It gets you out of numbing yourself. It gets you out of stop invalidating yourself. It gets you out of feeling like you need a permission slip from somebody else to feel what you're feeling. It gets you out of feeling like you're a bad person. And it starts to really unravel some of these subconscious beliefs that we have that are preventing us from moving forward in our lives, right? And so it really helps you out from feeling powerless as well. Because one of the sort of, I think, symptoms of feeling numb is feeling powerless sometimes, not always, but sometimes you'll feel powerless. Like, what's the point, right? I can't, what's the point of even trying? Like, I've tried this before and it didn't work, or dealing with this person just makes me go crazy. Why even try? Or, I tried that thing, but I failed before, or, whatever. We get into this sort of like self-defeating mode where we don't even allow ourselves to dream anymore. We don't even allow ourselves to feel anymore. And feeling, I feel like, is like really one of the first steps to allow you to move towards healing, move towards the direction of what your heart and soul truly desires. If you don't allow yourself to feel the vast spectrum of emotions that are available to you, you can't really listen to your intuition, because your intuition is sort of like a vibrational compass. And so your vibrations are your emotions, right? So when you aren't listening to them, it's like, how could you ever tune into the emotional frequency or the frequency wave of your intuition? You see what I'm saying? So it really helps you to get out of that powerlessness and numbing out or feeling or shutting down your emotions entirely. The 5th reason is that it can you can start to make decisions from a place of power and integrity rather than from a place of fear, anger, and despair, right? So when you start listening to your emotions, or you start not listening, more so feeling your emotions, you can start to decipher and build up emotional intelligence and start to tune into your higher self, tune into your intuition, and you start to make decisions from a place of power and integrity rather than a place of anger and despair, right? So this is very critical difference from feeling your emotions and then allowing your emotions to do what they do, doing some techniques and stuff like that I work with my clients on, and to heal your emotions and allow your emotions to, you begin to really on another scale is kind of transcend the polarity of your emotions, such that you can make decisions from a place of your integrity, from a place of your higher self, from a place of knowing who you truly are, from a place of knowing that you're a divine being and you can create what you desire because you say so. So it really helps you to start making decisions from a place of power and moving in your life from a place of power. Now, this really goes into the 6th one, which is it really allows you to stop lashing out, right? So when you make a decision from a place of power, you're not making impulsive decisions, really. And there's nothing wrong with impulsive decisions when they're healthy, right? And let me define a healthy sort of impulse. Let's say you're out with a friend or whatever, and you guys are like, you just had dinner and you're like, oh, let's go grab some, some vegan ice cream. Treating yourself to a vegan ice cream where you're hanging out with a healthy friend or whatever like that, there's nothing wrong with the impulse, right? Now, there's an impulse, right, where a negative or unhealthy impulse would be where, you've set a budget for yourself or whatever, and, you're feeling lonely or whatever, and you took yourself out to dinner or whatever, and then you feel an impulse to go on a shopping spree. Now, that would be an unhealthy impulse because you're negating another aspect of yourself by not honoring the budget that you set out for yourself. So anyways, back to the whole prevents you from lashing out and acting impulsively, right? Negatively impulsive, unhealthily impulsively, right? So if you've ever felt anger or, resentment or, despair or sadness, and when you act impulsively, when you act on these unwanted emotions, it usually has a negative ripple effect because the energy that you're putting out is going to be attracted right back to you, law of attraction 101, right? And so what you want to do is to start to feel your emotions. It's totally fine to feel anger, to feel resentment, to process that, to, punch a pillow if you need to, right? To, yell and scream in your own room when no one's there, or yell and scream in your car, right? And to feel your emotions and let it out, or go speak to your best friend or speak to your coach or speak to a therapist to express these emotions is totally fine. But to act out on them, it usually leads to a negative outcome, right? And so when you start to allow yourself to feel your emotions, what happens is that you stop acting impulsively. You stop acting from a place of, rage or lashing out or whatever, right? So that's really the sixth reason. The seventh reason is that it really starts to help you to trust your intuition and cultivate your intuition. Like I said, your intuition is sort of like this energetic barometer that comes to you in all different signs and signals and sensations and feelings, right? Signs, signals, and sensations. I like that. That just came to me. So it comes to you in all signs, signals, and sensations, right? So your intuition can come to you in the form of signs, signals, sensations, bodily sensations, emotions, and stuff like that. And because emotions are a big part of that sort of energetic compass that your soul has given you, that you're now, tuning into, when you don't listen to your emotions, how could you know that, someone has that going, like, if your intuition is telling you to go left, but you've shut down your intuition and you end up going right to the party or to the parking lot, and all of a sudden there's a shootout, that's because you weren't listening to your intuition, right? So as an extreme example, right? But in general, it helps you to start to trust your intuition, and your intuition is your compass for guiding you and navigating this human journey while you're here and listening to your heart, to your greatest fulfillment, and you're unleashing your greatest potential on that planet. But when you don't tune into your emotions, whether that unwanted or wanted emotions, you don't tap into that like infinite intelligence that is who you truly are, really. Okay, so that's number 7. Number 8 is that it helps you to take back control over your inner world. So I talk about this a lot in my Destined for More program with my clients. And so basically your inner world is consistent of your thoughts, feelings, beliefs, emotions, beliefs, all that good stuff, right? And so when you start to really master this planet is when you start to really master your inner world, because we live in a mirror universe. And you've heard me talk about this on this channel a lot, is when you live in a mirror universe, everything that you're attracting is a mirror, is because of the energy that you're putting out, right? And so when you start to master your inner world, you start to being able to develop emotional intelligence, and also regulate your emotional state of being, your predominant state of being. So does that mean that you're never going to ever feel an quote unquote negative or unwanted emotion? No, of course, we're all human. We came here for that plethora of spectrum. It's totally fine to feel your emotions. But what that means is that you can start to no longer be triggered or let old triggers pull you down into like a downward spiral of despair, or a downward spiral of anger and rage and lashing out, or a downward spiral of, feeling lost and stuck and at unease or fear or scarcity or whatever way it manifests, right? And so what it helps you do is it takes back as you take back control over your inner world, you become the master creator of your life, right? Because you start to become more intentional with how you feel. You realize that you don't have to be pulled in by, any outside event. You start to, like, how this manifests is basically that the outside world starts to have less effect on you, on your inner world, because you're self-regulating all the time. You're in tune with your emotional state of well-being, and you're in tune with your true and your higher self. And because you're in tune with your true and higher self, you start to be like, no matter, it's almost like peace beyond all understanding, that kind of phrase from the Bible or whatever. Like, you start to have this like peace beyond all understanding. No one can disturb your peace. You're like good. You start to stand in this level of authenticity, integrity of your true divine, true self, that no one can really shake you, right? And it doesn't mean that like if somebody came up and like slapped you in the face, you wouldn't like immediately react. That's right. But I'm not saying that. I'm just talking about in general, like when people like sort of make emotional digs at you, or your boss says something, or your spouse does something to piss you off, or your kid, is rude or whatever. Those things start to affect you less and less, and you start to shift your vibrational frequency. And as you start to shift your vibrational frequency, the world has to match you, because it's divine law, right? And so that's what I really mean by you start taking back the power over your inner world. And as you take your power over your inner world, you can then begin to shape shift your outer world or your outer reality. Okay, and so that is the 8th reason. The 9th reason is that you start to release pent-up emotions, right? So you prevent, which also helps you to prevent stress and ultimately disease. I can't tell you how many countless times I've met so many women just in my life, and when I had a job, just growing up and stuff like that, of women who just don't allow themselves to feel their emotions, and that ends up manifesting as some physical issue, right? Like I did that happened to me. I feel like a big part of why that I had manifested a large ovarian cyst is because I wasn't allowing myself to feel whatever I needed to feel, whether that was rage, whether that was, hurt, whether that was sadness, whether that was, whatever it was. I wasn't allowing myself to feel these emotions. And what happens, because emotions are energy in motion, energy starts to get trapped and stuck in the body, and it starts to manifest and metastasize as tumors and cysts and all these other things like that, and other health issues, So when you start to allow yourself to feel emotions, your unwanted and wanted emotions, what you're doing is that you're releasing this energy, right? It's almost like when you see, if you've ever watched like 2 ducks or geese in a pond or whatever, and let's say they're all swimming and all graceful and stuff, and all of a sudden they have a little altercation. It's like lasts for all of like 5 seconds. Like they're flapping their wings and like, and then they like go their separate ways. And then like what happens is, in that instance, is they start flapping their wings as if they're releasing that extra tension. That's what happens when you start to feel your emotion, is that you're releasing that excess these unwanted emotions, and you're releasing that excess energy. You're feeling it. I often say, feel it to heal it. You have to feel it to heal it. So in order for it to transcend, for you to release that emotion, you have to it's almost like you have to let it be what it is and be able to feel it. And then as you be able to feel it, then you can also release it and transcend it, right? So that's the 9th reason. It prevents stress and eventually disease, because you're releasing pent-up emotion, right? Okay, and the 10th and final reason is that it allows you to feel more connected to your true self. And you've heard me say, you are divine, so many times on this channel, because you are truly a divine being. And as a divine being, having this human experience, whether you call it soul, spirit, child of God, whatever resonates with you, basically what you're doing is you're stepping more fully into your divine power as a divine being incarnated in the human experience, right? And so as you start to connect to your true self, you start to listen to your intuition, you start to follow your inner guidance, you start to do more of what you love to do, you start to make a bigger impact on the world, you start to, attract more abundance, you start to attract healthier relationships, you start to attract more well-being and health and vibrancy and aliveness. And it's like when you allow yourself to feel the vast spectrum of emotions that you have, it's almost as if you're like hooking back, like if you think of yourself as having like a hook or like something like, you know, that like a tether to your higher self. There's whatever, like say you have like a tether to your higher self from your heart or whatever. And as you have this tether from your heart to your higher self, it's like when we don't allow ourselves to feel our emotions, it's like we cut off that tether or we're clamping it down such that our divine force, vital force, life energy can't even get to us, right? And so we can't feel our intuition. We can't hear our intuition. We feel lost, stuck, sad, depressed, you know, anger, resentment, all this other stuff, right? And so we start feeling this way. And so we can't, because we've cut off our connection to our true self. And so when you open up, you're allowing yourself to feel these emotions, whether they're positive or negative or wanted or unwanted or whatever, is you start to open up that portal or open up that sort of hose that's connecting you to your divine life force energy. And you start to be able to tap in and tune in to your true divine self at a like a deeper level and a rapid place, especially now that we're shifting into, you know, lighter and less dense frequencies as the planet is shifting. Like, and we're moving into this new stage and ages and stuff like that. It's like your ability to manifest and stuff like that accelerates. Not only, well, it's accelerating regardless, but it really, you can start to move more into like positive manifestation or moving more into wanted, intentional manifestation rather than being effect or at victim. You step out of victimhood and you move more into victor, right? You move more into, you know, a powerful being that you truly are, not in a condescending or a narcissistic way, but in the innate divine power that you are. You're a divine being, and because you're a divine being, you have creative power and potential that lies dormant within you. And when you start to allow yourself to tap into your emotional frequencies, you start to awaken and tap into this innate dormant energy and potential that's waiting for you to unleash it into the world in whatever way it's supposed to unleash itself in your life. So I hope that these 10 reasons really helps you to understand why it's so important to start listening to your tapping in to your emotions and feeling your emotions, whether they're wanted or unwanted, positive or negative, right? Because as you start to tune in, tap into these emotions, it really allows you to let go of demonizing your feelings. I know a lot of times my clients and people that I meet all the time have this issue, right? When they aren't allowing themselves to feel what they're feeling and they like disregard their own emotions. We have that enough in our little narcissistic society of people like trying to tell you how you should feel or you shouldn't feel that way or your reality isn't real. Like we have enough of that. Don't do that to yourself, okay? Empower yourself to be that your reality is valid. Whatever you're feeling is perfectly fine, regardless if you know it's warranted or unwarranted. If someone crossed a boundary or if something happened and it's triggering whatever emotion, feel the emotion. Don't act on the emotion, but allow yourself to feel the emotion. Maybe journal it out. Talk about it with a friend or a trusted person in your life, or a coach, or a therapist or whatever, and have that space for you to be a human being, right? We came here for the human experience, right? If we wanted to be all love and peace and joy all the freaking time, we wouldn't have incarnated in such a polarizing planet, right? We came here for duality, right? So allow yourself to feel the spectrum of emotions. That's totally fine, because jealousy or envy or anger or resentment or any of those like quote unquote bad emotions or negative emotions arise, it doesn't make you a bad person. That's normal. It's natural, right? Like that's so natural. And it's so funny how in the personal development or spiritual circles, like it's not really encouraged, it's all about high vibes. And even though I say that I, vibrate higher, I don't mean for you not to negate that aspect of you. Never negate your humanity. That's why your humanity is just as divine, in my point of view, as divine as your divine self. Otherwise, your divine self wouldn't have came in this body, like, period, So that's my point of view. As always, flow with what feels good and let go of what doesn't, because you are divine. You are a divine being, and your soul knows exactly what you come to explore, express, and traverse while on this planet. Feel free to check out my masterclass where I'm walking you through the 5 shifts that my clients are making to get out of self-sabotage, to get out of self-doubt, to get out of procrastination, perfectionism, and people-pleasing, and go into being fully confident. Check out the first link in the description box below to view that masterclass. I've gotten such really great feedback on that masterclass while it's free. So check it out in the link, and there's the first link in the description box below. And as always, remember to flow what feels good and let go of what doesn't, because you are divine. And remember, what you conceive is what you'll receive. What you expect is what you'll get. And however you feel is what will become real for you. So vibrate higher, and I will chat with you guys next time. Peace, love, and light.